Aloha, everybody. I apologize for being a little late, but it's great to see all of you here. Thank you for joining us today as we continue to fight back against the Trump regime's attacks on public education. And in this case today, we're going to focus on the attacks on minority serving institutions. From day one, this regime has done nothing but wreak havoc on American public education, from diverting up to 100 billion by some estimates to private schools through a first ever nationwide voucher program, to moving critical responsibilities such as billions in student loans to other, in my view, completely ill-prepared agencies such as the Treasury Department, State Department, etc. This is the Trump regime's way of dismantling the Department of Education. Donald Trump is doing all he can basically to dismantle support for education in this country. And what is happening to minority serving institutions is part of this all-out attack. There are over 800 minority serving institutions across the country serving more than 5 million students. Many of these students are first in their families to attend college. MSIs help these students thrive on campus, whether it is in the classroom with professional development opportunities, alongside mentors who understand what students are going through. So it's not just a matter of first generation students getting into college, but staying there and being able to graduate. So for that, these institutions offer the kind of support that I just described. There are 13 MSIs across the state of Hawaii, including all 10 of the University of Hawaii campuses. And last year, Hawaii MSIs received tens of millions of dollars to support students on these campuses. This funding helped low-income, first-generation, and other students make the transition from high school to college, and it is not easy for that to happen. It doesn't happen because they think it's a good idea. We actually have supportive programs to enable these kids to attend college to graduate. So it provided the necessary resources to make sure these students could continue on their college journeys, and it helped these students to succeed. But it's not just Hawaii, of course, that has these MSI programs, and it's not just in blue states. If you remember I said there are hundreds of MSIs throughout the country. Well, Texas has 174 MSIs serving 2.2 million students. Florida has 53 minority serving institutions serving more than 800,000 students, just to name a few of the red states who benefit from these programs. So MSI programs have had bipartisan support since they were created 40 years ago. In 1986, Congress recognized the importance of schools with high concentrations of minority students who have been historically underrepresented in higher education. And it passed, at that time, legislation creating what is now the MSI program with bipartisan support. And that legislation, not only was it introduced by a Republican senator, it was signed into law by President Ronald Reagan. And ever since, Congress has funded MSIs in a bipartisan way. In 2007, I was a member of the House Education and Labor Committee when Congress expanded the MSI support, saying at that time, as the growth in the nation increasingly reflects the diversity of the students at these institutions, the committee believed that this mandatory funding is an investment in our future. Well, that goal is certainly not shared by this regime, which is ripping up decades of precedent as a part of its war on diversity and public education. MSIs support students of color under the false pretense of addressing discrimination. This regime is limiting access to higher education for underserved and underrepresented groups. There are millions of students who are being served by these programs. Let's keep that in mind. And last year, the regime slashed $350 million in funding from MSIs and announced that it would be winding down MSI programs moving forward. Now, know that these are programs that have been supported by Congress. We have supported the funding for it, and this regime thinks that it can just wind down support for these programs and use the money for other purposes. So today, I am joined by my colleagues from the House and Senate, national education and civil rights leaders, and students who have benefited from MSI programs. You'll hear more from them about the power of MSIs and what is at stake in this fight and in this assault on public education. And all students, regardless of their backgrounds, deserve access to the quality education that will set them up for success. And that is why Congress must continue funding these programs. That is why we all need to fight back. The regime needs to refund the billions of dollars it has stolen. I use that word because it truly describes what they're doing. They're stealing from public education. So the American people need to raise their voices. We need to mobilize the American people to understand that this assault on public education is real. It is happening every day with this regime, and we have to fight back.